Don't be afraid to look up recipes online. I've done that a ton, and you can find some pretty good recipes. So be creative with your dates, and you know, candles are always good, roses. I know for me it was super fun just getting to say like, this is my husband, and Derek saying this is my wife. So like, just even those new names for yourself, it's just fun, you know?
Going like on your honeymoon somewhere.
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Wednesday, July 27th, and I've got a Jill Duggar update for you guys since you all are Jill Duggar fans over here. The favorite Duggar of many of you, the one that doesn't disappoint you and has stuck to her guns and stayed away from the family situation. So here's the deal. She had a little baby. His name is Frederick. He's adorable. They shared some updated photographs of him on their blog. And then today she shared some photographs on her Instagram of them sort of all cuddled up together and hanging out at home. And Jill showed off herself for the very first time. And this is what she had to say. We are over here. We are all over here soaking up the snuggles and love from little Freddie. And she was there with him in a wrap and on her chest. Aww. My baby, the babiness in me is like, babies. And then she showed a picture of the boys looking into his bassinet, which is so, so sweet. So she was also answering some questions and getting back into interacting with people. And she has tried to stay out of the family drama and is just sort of like posting as is. Nothing's changed, right? She and Derek are the example to me of how someone in this family should handle the situation in a manner that is respectful, is thoughtful, and is considerate to the people that were hurt by Josh, respecting the authority of the courts and the system and the sentence, and making their opinions and feelings known about what they think about Josh and how they feel about what happened and why they feel like this is good. You know, they said this is the first time he'll ever have accountability. This is the first time he'll ever be held responsible for what he's done. And that made, you know, justice. And then they talked about God's vengeance. Okay. I think the difference that you guys see online between Jill and Jessa is that Jill took the situation of Josh Duggar's crimes and she applied logic, and Derek applied logic to the situation, and they were able to separate themselves from Jim Bob Duggar's talking points. They were able to just say authentically what it was that they felt about the situation without fear of her father's wrath, of pulling finances or telling them they can't come over or whatever, because in Jill's world, she's already lost, you know, those connections, and her relationship with her dad is strained. Okay. She was in a deposition where she talked about how she rarely ever talks to her dad. She only talks to her mom, and that's not very frequently. That the relationship with her dad is very tense. She's called him very controlling and verbally abusive. And, you know, so for her, the trigger is her father. And even though Josh did really bad things to her, I still think that Jim Bob is still her main trigger. So to see Jill kind of walking out and sort of reestablishing herself online in such a positive way gives me hope that some members in the family will be able to move on. Is every single person in the Duggar family a bad person? Absolutely not. Even if they don't have the same faith as you, even if they have a different political stance than you, even if their beliefs on life are different than you, are every single one of them bad? No. Okay? So Jill and Derek have been able to move away from all of this drama, and they've also moved away from the drama. So I had an opportunity to actually, I heard from Derick Dillard the other day. I was like, so random. A couple of years ago, he actually requested to be my, maybe it was last year, he requested to be connected to me on LinkedIn. And apparently it was like my anniversary of my business, even though I don't really pay attention to like my work anniversary or where I set up when it was. Apparently that day it was like my anniversary of my work, even though I own my own business and I don't pay attention to that. And he said like, happy work anniversary. And I was like, cool, right? And I just said to him like, hey, I'm so glad to hear about your baby. Let him know that I love the name Frederick. I'm sure that his mom is super happy about that. And then I just said like, is it nice to have some space with your move away from the drama? And they said he said that the distance that they've moved to Siloam Springs, which is like 45 minutes away from where the Duggars live and where the rest of the family is, it has been a nice distance between him and them and all of the stuff with the family. So they're further away. They can't be underneath the thumb of Jim Bob. They're not in their daily lives running into these people because they're 45 minutes away. The Duggars have property that they own in Siloam Springs. It's commercial property, but it's not an area that they're frequently in at all. Most of their properties are in Springdale and Rogers. So they're in Siloam Springs, and then he's working in Oklahoma, and he said his job is going really well. So they have found like a sense of peace with this move. So the move was getting away sort of from that, getting distance from the drama, and now they are establishing their own sense of family in a new spot. And Derek is like driving like 40 minutes to his office, I believe, it's in a small town in Oklahoma. I can't remember. He's like an assistant district attorney, which a lot of you guys were like, oh my gosh, how do you get that job? And I'm like, well, it's a really small district. It's a really small town, I'm sure. But I think he'll do fine. Yeah. So Derek says that they're doing well. Everyone's happy. And it's definitely nice to get away from the drama. Okay. So they're trying to move their best foot forward and move on. I know you guys all want them to write a book. And I do think that they plan to write a book. The last time I talked to him before this, he did tell me that they haven't been saying a whole lot because the plan is at some point for them to write a book. And so they don't want to have all these little like bits and pieces of their life out. They'd rather tell it in like a cohesive story so that it's told in a way that is representative of who they are and what their experience is, and done with like some dignity, and done with some like thought and thoughtfulness. Because we always talk about the Duggars, and I was actually talking to someone yesterday, and I said, something I've learned a lot in reporting over the years is that every single person that you talk about is an actual person, and every single person that you have in your content that you're speaking about is a human that has thoughts, they have feelings, they have emotions, and it can be extremely easy to detach yourself from those thoughts, feelings, and emotions, especially if you're speaking on a highly charged topic like what surrounds the Duggars, where we can get really angry at Jim Bob, Josh, and the whole cult, right? But we sometimes forget that all of the people in here have stories of their own. So I love the fact that they're still planning to write a book, and I'm eager. I don't know when it'll happen. It seems like he was in law school, now he's starting a career. And now they have a new baby. It's like maybe we'll get their tell-all in 10 years. Who knows, when everything calms down. So Derek and Jill are moving away from the drama and are happy to be from the drama. And so why does Jessa get so much negative attention online? My opinion is this. Jessa Duggar used to be one of the fan favorites, and it was because she was the pretty Duggar. I mean, I think a lot of girls loved Jessa because she was so pretty, and all the guys wanted to date her, and all the girls wanted to be like her. And they thought she had like sass and zest and spunk. People loved Jessa. And I think in her adulthood, she has not been the person that people thought she would be. So a lot of the comments I get from you guys is that you would have never expected Jill to be the one to break free. You would have thought it would have been Jessa or Ginger. Based on Ginger's personality, based on Jessa's personality, you thought that they would have been the ones that would have stood up for themselves and done something very publicly. Jill was not the one that you saw coming doing this, right? And because of that, some of you have said you feel let down because you feel like Jessa has somehow no spine or has no ability to stand up for herself or to see for herself or understand anything about herself, or even have the understanding that she doesn't have to say what her dad wants her to say on her platforms. I think the reason also that so many of you get her criticism and she gets so much backlash is because she doesn't want to think outside of the box. She doesn't want to say anything that's controversial. She wants to constantly defend her family. She feels probably like she needs to defend her family, and she's very willing to be her dad's mouthpiece. And she has no problem being his mouthpiece when they have something's going on in the family. She's the first one to say, no, that's not what happened. No, that's not what happened. And you know she's lying. And I think for a lot of you, you've realized over time that the Jessa you thought you knew is not who she is. You thought she was an honest person, and some of you are realizing that she's not, and that's made some people angry at her. Is it justified? I don't know. She's 29 years old, and at some point she has to grow up, and she has to realize that like she can have her own thoughts, and it doesn't have to be wrapped up in her parents. But she also grew up in a patriarchal cult where she was taught that she must obey her parents, and breaking free of the fundamentalist mindset is extremely difficult, even if you're not living specifically like with your parents. She's still in a home with Ben, in a church that's completely indoctrinated into this belief system. They're not IBLP, but they might as well be. But the problem with Jessa too is they haven't acknowledged it. And that's why I think at the end of the day, people are embracing Jill and they're rejecting Jessa. And that's because Jessa has not acknowledged the pain that Josh has caused. She has not acknowledged the victims in the situation. And she has not acknowledged the fact that this isn't just an inconvenience for the family, but it's a serious situation. And she's continuing to endorse the propaganda that goes with her dad. And I think that's why she's losing support online. If you think I'm wrong and that's why, I mean, tell me what your thoughts are on why she's losing support. I just see so many negative comments for her now, and I'm just trying to be objective here. I feel for Jessa. I feel like she's in a no-win situation. I feel like she might want to break free, but she might feel like she can't. She might feel like she has to obey her parents. She might feel indebted to them. She might be economically tied to them. And then you have to remember their education isn't the best. Hers isn't. Ben's got some community college, but nothing significant. The benefit for Jill was she married a man that was college educated that also went to law school, and that helped her grow. And I hope that she explores higher education at some point herself. But unfortunately, Jessa's husband didn't follow that same path, and he stayed indoctrinated. Jill and Jessa, who used to be like this, are more like this. Jill is done with the drama, and Jessa is still stuck in the drama. What are your thoughts? Tell me in the comments below. Bye, guys.